Artistry and Finesse with you on a Sunday night. Finesse, a rough weekend in Pittsburgh sports. 2 Penguins losses, a Steelers loss. Just not much going on that we can really be happy about right now.
Well, I was fortunate enough to not watch more than 10 minutes of the Steeler game. And from everything I heard, that makes me very lucky.
Why would you?
Having said that, I'll still act like I've seen the whole game and make a lot of very declarative, definitive statements about the game.
Absolute declarative statements.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to just put myself out there not having watched the game.
We expect nothing less, but I think we're going to throw a little bit of a curveball. We're not going to start with the Steelers. We just don't think they're that important. Let's start with the Penguins. What's your takeaway from the weekend?
That some of the problems that we thought the Penguins have, we still have. The Islanders and the Maple Leafs are very tough matchups for whatever reason for the Penguins. I just think that they play at a pace that not everyone on our team can keep up with. And that's a big concern. I think it's a big concern. I think both of those teams are real nightmare matchups in the playoffs, and we thought that last year too. I mean, we thought that the one team we really wanted to avoid in the playoffs last year, I think, was the Maple Leafs, right?
Yeah, we did. We were scared of them.
And then they almost and we had reason to, and they proved us right because they should have won that Boston series, except save for like a 1 in a million ending. I mean, they won that series pretty much.
Yeah, what's interesting to me about the last 3 games, going back to the Avalanche game, and that's a team also with a lot of speed and young team, scary forwards. But in every game, arguably, we really carried the play most of the time. And I don't want to make this like an advanced stats conversation. It's kind of boring to me, but like anybody would look at the statistics. I mean, we probably out-Corsied these guys like collectively. We just slaughtered them. But what it's really about with the Penguins for me is when we're not finishing, when pucks aren't going in for us, we have no recourse. We have no backup plan. And that's exactly what happened in the Boston series.
Right, it's run the same thing over and over again. And that's sort of what the frustration became with Bilesma last year. It's like, if the team isn't finishing, it's not like the Penguins then become harder to play against and buckle down defensively and become content to keep it 0-0 or 1-1 and win that way. It's like we're just going to keep doing stretch passes and keep trying to score. And it's impressive because they can get chances like in the blink of an eye out of stuff that you never thought would be a scoring chance. Like that, the Crosby, Kunitz, Dupuis line is unbelievable. Like they get 2 scoring chances every single shift. But when they're not finishing, you're right. Like it's not. You can just sort of feel the frustration build, and then it's just like I just keep coming back to it. I sound like a broken record, but like there's so much dependency still on Crosby and Malkin to score, and I just don't feel like they're going to get consistent help from the rest of the squad.
When you talk about that frustration building, it's inevitable in a game like the one particularly against Toronto on Saturday. You know that either Malkin or Letang are going to pull a Brett Favre-like throw into double coverage. You know they're going to try to force something at some point. It's exactly what we're talking about. You can't, when you get into a game like that where it's just a stalemate, you're at an impasse. You might be getting all the chances, but you're not getting anything through. You have to take a collective breath and say we're going to be patient. You can't make that critical mistake like the Penguins made with the Kobasu clear at the end of that game,
right?
That led to the game-winning goal. And that's something that they can't seem to learn. They can't get it through their collective consciousness that they can't play that way in the latter stages of a tight game against a good team.
No, and that's not a switch that you can flip either. That's something that just sort of becomes part of the culture and style of your team. That has to sort of be built up over the course of a season or several seasons. And so, it's a problem. It's a real problem. And like Letang, I mean, you just have to live with Letang being what he is. Like, he's going to make a bunch of mistakes, and Malkin too.
Have you gotten to focus in on? Have you focused in on Letang at all the last 2 games, and what have you seen from him? Anything different?
No. Do you see anything different?
Well, he's got breathtaking talent, but the same things are happening. I hope that Jacques Martin can get through to him a little bit. There's a lot of there's just a lack of instinct with the puck in the offensive zone. There's a lot. There was a play against Toronto. The pass might have got deflected, but he shot the puck right at some guy for the Leafs. Started back the other way,
right?
And they got a goal. There's still that stuff happens all the time.
It's just like he lacks such an attention to detail, and sort of the small things that separate really great talent from a really great player. He just doesn't have that consistently. Just real boneheaded stuff. I mean, you just never feel like he makes a great play with his mind. It's always with his skill.
Yeah.
And you'd love to see him just do something smart out there one time. But, he's 2 games in, so I'm not going to get on the guy too much. And we already know this about him. Like, I don't think he's changing. I mean, we signed Malkin and Letang to these really long contracts, and they're not going to change. We already know them. They've been in the league for a long time. So we just got to figure out how to win with them doing what they do. And what they do is amazing, but it has sort of like more glaring errors or like just taking huge risks that you don't get with other players.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much to ask Letang if he's going to play on the power play, which he obviously is. It's like in the offseason, work on your 3-point shot. Like work on from the blue line getting pucks through traffic and to the net,
right?
A la Sergei Gonchar. You can work on that. You can improve that. You might not be able to improve your intelligence. He's a dumb individual. I don't think that's going to change. But you can work on different ways to be effective. And I would like to see some evidence that that's happening.
So how do you think he does? What do you think if you want to work on your getting shot through traffic, I mean, who do you get to do traffic? Do you just go to like the local high school and get some guys and say, boys, hey, boys, I'm going to need you to stand in the lane and I'm going to take a 95-mile-an-hour slap shot at your ankles?
Just get Brandon Sutter out there, Get Brandon and Chuck.
Don't even get me started. Get
him out there.
I looked up, because I can't help myself, because I just really don't know any other way to go through my life right now than being upset about Brandon Sutter every single game. I think he's on an 11-game goalless streak, and I believe I predicted 11 is sort of his magic number for goalless streaks.
Yeah.
I think he might score against Carolina on Monday and start his next streak at the next game. His next 11-game streak will start the game after Monday's game.
Yeah,
but here's how I personally feel like I know that he stinks, and I think that there's a slow, like, sort of the public perception of him is slowly sort of moving from totally ignoring him to like, hey, maybe we should be getting more out of Brandon Sutter. But this is how I know the team is sort of realizing it too. I looked at his ice time from last year to this year, and I know it's a small sample size. In fact, both are small sample sizes. His ice time is down this season 1 minute and 40 seconds a game. But think about who's not out there. Like, we don't have Kennedy, Cook, Iginla, Morrow, James Neal, Bo Bennett all out. And yet he's losing ice time.
Well, there's two ways to look at that. I mean, also, more importantly, I would argue his line mates are losing ice time, and that's been like Tanner Glass and who else has been playing on that line the last couple of games. I mean, I think you have to look at that unit losing ice time.
But don't you think there's something to be said when 2 top 9 forwards are out for us, and his ice time goes down from last season?
Yeah, I'm not arguing that he's good. I think he's terrible. I do think he played very well in the penalty kill this weekend, as I tweeted to you. It was very effective, but if that's his only role, he should be on the fourth line.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we have a third line player on our hands with him. I just don't see
any third line players, period.
That's true. I think we have 6 fourth liners.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, I was complaining a little bit about this during the Maple Leaf game, do you think part of the reason that we've had a little bit of a hard time generating enthusiasm for the season is that the Penguins are incapable of surprising us? Are they too predictable? And it's not just the Penguins, it's sort of the league. Everything is so structured in the way the game is played now. It's just, there's nothing surprising that happens.
Yeah, there's just not much in the first month or two of the season that's going to happen to really get you all that excited. I mean, what happens now that's going to affect the playoff race other than what just happened like an hour ago, which was the trade for Vanek? I mean, there's no, and we could talk about that in a second, but there's nothing about, I mean, the Caps started 1-5. Meaningless. Like, who didn't know they were going to go on a run? And they're going to be fine. It's so early. The Flyers started terribly. I mean, it does, those games can come back and bite you, but it's not reflective of how these teams are going to be playing in February or March. Yeah, so it's almost meaningless.
There's a certain element of, everybody being on cruise control, and, whatever talent you have, it'll be reflected usually in the outcome of your regular season. The Penguins will have 100 points. They'll be a top 4 seed. We could sleep through the rest of this regular. That's going to happen.
You just, at this point, the number one concern for the season is Crosby's health, and you want him to win the scoring title.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty much where my focus is right now.
So what do you think of the Vanek trade? It's Vanek. For those who didn't see this, it's Vanek, and by tomorrow, you definitely will have. For Molson, who also, interestingly, will be a UFA at the end of the season, and a first and a second from the Islanders.
It's going to make the Islanders better this year. Vanek's a really, really good player. And, how it affects their stockpile of talent, I don't know enough about it. I mean, they've been having high picks for a long time, so they probably have a lot of guys. You see that with the guys they bring up. And as far, I don't know. The thing I was saying this to you before the podcast, the thing about the Islanders is that, like, outside of Tavares, the rest of their forwards all kind of overlap. And it's hard to tell the difference. Like, what's the difference between Nielsen and Molson and Bailey and Okposo and those guys? Like, they all sort of seem the same when you're playing against them, right?
Yeah, to some degree. I can tell when Grabner's out there, I'll tell you.
Grabner's super fast, yeah. They're tough. They're a really tough team, and I don't know that they scared me without Vanek. And if they can get some semblance of goaltending, then it's sort of the same story as us. I mean, if they can get reliable goaltending, then they don't really have a ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, it would be easy to look at just the statistics and say Vanek's not that much of an upgrade over Molson. Molson's a consistent 30-goal scorer. Vanek's had 40 a couple of times, but he's usually in the 30s. But in this case, you can say when you put Vanek with John Tavares, he becomes a 50-goal scorer. There's no question about that. I mean, the guy's just going to be deadly for them, I think.
Yeah, I agree. He's a really good player. He's great, absolutely great in front of the net. One of the best in the league with his buttery hands in front of the net.
But it's also, I think, pretty much a foregone conclusion that he's not staying there. So really, you're giving up those assets for a rental for this year. So you have to be thinking that you're a real contender this year for that to make.
And there's no reason they can't be. I mean, who in the East is all that? Boston and Pittsburgh are probably the 2 best teams.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is right there on their heels.
And they might not be done. They have a ton of cap space. Could trade for
if they get an owner that if they want to spend to the limit, they can get a lot better. I mean, that's a team that really could go far in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, we were just talking about how many goalies are available this year at the trade deadline. They could easily go get one for a reasonable price. They could get Ryan Miller.
Let me tell you what I like the best about this trade from the Islanders' perspective is that it happened early. I don't want whatever the Pens do, eventually. I want them to do it relatively soon. I don't want this wait till midnight and everybody goes to sleep on the trade deadline and then you find out we got somebody. I just think that last year showed that can be, and last year was a little bit of an aberration because it was a shortened season, but there's only so much you can do in a short amount of time with a new player, especially if he's coming in to disrupt and going to sort of disrupt the status quo. So if you're the Islanders, like we just talked about how meaningless the first 50 games of the season are. They have 40 games to putz around with Vanek, see how he fits, see who he skates well with. And if he's not producing that much, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
he'll eventually come around.
Just going to put this out there. I think he's going to skate well with Tavares.
Yeah, he is. How old is he? 30, 29?
29 years old.
That's it? He seems older for some reason.
He's a real good player.
Yeah.
So you ready to shift gears and talk about this necessary evil that is the 2013 Pittsburgh Steelers season?
Yeah, let's do it. What was your takeaway from the game today? I didn't see much of it.
The Raiders are so terrible that the Steelers still almost won this game. But don't be fooled. The Steelers are a disaster right now. The game against Baltimore, I think, was an aberration. This is an organizational issue. It's not just a talent issue. These guys have no idea how to manage the clock. They have no idea how to call plays. They're not prepared to play. Our best players can't come up big when it matters. For the second year in a row, Antonio Brown blew a game in Oakland, which really takes some doing.
Right.
It's almost like a talent. The kicking game, the ever-dependable Sean Swisham fell apart today. Zoltan Mescu made me long for the great Drew Butler. Really a top-to-bottom failure today in Oakland.
Do you think cutting Drew Butler was sort of started this downward spiral?
Could have been the curse. Could curse Drew Butler.
Yeah. We should have a good punter because we punt a lot.
Mescu had a great punt in the latter stages of the game.
Mesco, right?
Zoltan Mesco. The ball hit as close to the goal line as it could possibly have hit, and did a right hand turn, and was down on the half-yard line. So that was amazing, but otherwise he hasn't performed.
So how did Young Money blow the game today?
I'm tired of Young Money. I got to be honest. Young Money blew the game in two respects. There was, I think, with about 10 minutes left, and we're down 11. There's plenty of time. Ben on third down hit Young Money with a 25-yard pass right in the chest, and a defender just grazed him, and he dropped the football. You have to make that catch. Then the defense held on the next series. Young Money took a punt back 50 yards, great return. So, you're thinking temporarily all is forgiven Young Money. But then another third down throw by Ben hit him right in the chest with a 5-yard slant. Couldn't hold on to the ball. It popped in the air, and Oakland picked it off.
Let me tell you something I've noticed about Young Money. Young Money doesn't like to get hit that much. Young Money likes to go out of bounds when Young Money's around contact, and he likes to sort of get the ball and have some space to operate. He's not one that's going to go into high traffic areas and wrestle the ball away from three defenders.
Yeah, listen, the bottom line with Young Money is he's an extremely talented young man, and everybody should understand we know that Young Money refers to multiple people, but we're just referring to Antonio Brown that way. He's very, very talented, really good in open space, but he's not a number one receiver. He's just not. I know they're paying him $8 million a year, but if you're a guy that can't make plays like that with a game on the line, you're not a number one receiver.
Right.
He dropped a touchdown earlier this year. I mean, no top receivers do that.
I think a good way to look at him is to compare him to a guy like Anquan Bolden, who doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the talent, but that's a dude that's making big catches in big spots and taking the punishment to do it. And it's just, and I don't know that Anquan Bolden is your ideal number one either, but
No,
you sort of need both.
slow.
You sort of need both types. And right now the Steelers have young money and then Emmanuel Sanders, who's like young change purse, who is like Antonio Brown, but half as good.
Yeah.
So it's not pretty. It's really not pretty.
It's not good.
Can we talk about why hasn't Todd Haley been fired yet? I mean, what is he doing as the offensive coordinator still?
I don't know. What was interesting today is we ran the ball. I think we had 35 yards rushing the whole game. So I don't know what that's all about. I mean, we were behind, but we weren't that far behind for most of the game that we couldn't have some balance in the offense. And, you know, Le'Veon Bell's been arguably the best player on offense aside from Ben the last couple weeks. So he didn't get many looks. The other issue today, I'm not sure if you know this, but offensive linemen, some other men went down.
I know, they're just dropping like flies, these linemen. I was following on Twitter, it's just Ramon Foster's out, DeCastro's out. I think
men were going down.
Guy Wimper went down.
Had an ankle. It was bad today. It was really bad.
What did David DeCastro have?
I don't know if David DeCastro came back or not. He went out. He may have come back. I'm just not sure.
David DeCastro hasn't been the same since the friendly fire incident with Marquise Pouncey.
That was rough on his psyche.
It's hard to come back from that. I mean, any soldier will tell you that.
I just think that, first of all, I'm not even upset that they lost. I would rather them just take their lumps, get a high draft pick. There's no sense in, striving to be mediocre. But what really concerns me is there doesn't seem to be any leadership from the coaching staff right now.
No, I agree.
I don't understand how these guys can't be ready to play coming off that game against Baltimore. How can they not be ready? How can they fall apart like this again in Oakland?
Well, the offense
it's a terrible team.
Is a mess, sort of strategically. It's terrible. The defense, I don't know enough about it to know whether it's sort of a schematic problem. But what I do know is that guys are getting burned.
Well, think about it this way, okay? You're coming into Oakland. You're on record as talking about how Terrell Pryor is, running this read option like Colin Kaepernick in San Francisco. That's the primary weapon that you have to deal with from the Raiders. And on the first play of the game, he runs for a 93-yard touchdown. Did
Troy guess wrong on that play?
Well, I don't know, but you've got to be guessing that he's going to run. That's what you have to be guessing.
Sometimes, probably fairly frequently.
How do you guess wrong?
Well,
is the point.
I think over the last several years, I've actually listened to a lot of Steelers games on the radio, and they have every single play that is like a big play against the Steelers. Craig Wolfley and those guys are like, Troy was right up in there. He just guessed wrong on that one. It's like Troy went left and the guy went right. It's like, why is he guessing so much? He's always guessing. Sometimes he guesses right. He had an interception today. That was a good guess. But the rest of the time he's guessing.
On Root Sports saying that the Penguins have just run into some hot goaltenders the last couple of nights.
And bad bounces.
Right.
When that shot hit Fleury in the chest and bounced over his head, and they said that's just like an unlucky bad bounce. Okay.
It was a bad bounce, all right.
Yeah, it was a bad bounce. It's Fleury's fault. It's a terrible bounce.
Yeah, so...
the Steelers are bad. Steelers are bad.
And Pitt lost to Navy this weekend. We need to put this one behind us.
The Steelers go at New England next week.
Oh, that's the other thing that I need to mention to you. Mike Pouncey got served with a subpoena today to appear before the grand jury in the Aaron Hernandez case.
No way.
Yep.
What do they think he knows?
Well, there's been all these rumors floating around that he was present for one of the executions or something.
What?
Yeah. I think that's what's been reported on Deadspin, or if he wasn't present for that, he was present for something. Something bad.
Like that night?
No, I don't think this murder. I think
last one.
Some other episode that happened when they were in college.
Oh, the college murders.
The call.
Well, didn't he he had some murders last year in Boston.
The serial murders in college. So this begs the question, of course. The Steelers go to New England next week. Is first of all, he's probably traveling. Is he going to be served? Is Mo going to be served with papers?
Oh, you're saying Mike was served with papers because Miami was in New England?
Yes.
Wow. No. Well, Marquise is out with a knee, and I don't think they want him out with they don't want him out with a subpoena.
Yeah. Now he's just not going. Now they're saying, Mo, just stay home. We don't want you. Yeah.
So we
don't want to put you on the long-term IR with a subpoena.
So this is what the Steelers are now. Our center, who's who's basically a walking high ankle sprain, now can't even travel to the state of Massachusetts because he's going to get served with a subpoena.
That's
possibly. I mean, we don't know, but maybe.
Yeah, it stands to reason.
Well, that would be fun. I hope if they serve. I mean, I wish he was playing and they could just serve him at the coin toss or something.
In the huddle.
Have Ben serve him. Do you think Ben would accept service on behalf of Marquise?
He would say he's representing him.
Yeah, it's like in the federal.
I'll handle this.
Yeah, some federal rule of procedure. Ben steps up. It's like he's over 18 and this is his men. These are his men. He can accept service for them.
There should definitely be a subsection of the federal rules that involves Ben accepting service on behalf of his men.
Yeah. It's a unique time in Steelers history.
It really is. All right, well, things can only get better from here. We'll be back with you at some point next week. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, GTOG.